Hi guys, welcome back. Today's video is going to be all about complexion. So a lot of the times when I'm working, I'll have clients ask me what is the correct order to apply their products and what is the best technique for applying them. And I know that complexion in general can be very intimidating and overwhelming because there's a million different products, there's a million different ways to apply them, and everyone's needs and concerns are very different. I'm not saying that this is the end all be all, like only order and only way of doing things, but this is what works well for me, so I just wanted to share. And with that being said, I'm just going to get right into it. So there's a few things that I recommend doing ahead of time that are going to give you the best results. First thing that I'd suggest doing is going into a store like Sephora or Ulta and having the artist there color match you. Because even though it's my job and I've been doing makeup forever, it's still really difficult to find the right match when you're just looking at the bottles, whether that's in the store or online and you're looking at swatches. So it really helps to go in, talk to an artist. They can put it on your skin and so you can actually see what it'll look like and feel what the texture is like and get a much better idea of what's actually going to be the best thing for you, versus just trying to guess, because it is definitely difficult. So when you go in, you can tell them what your concerns are. So if you normally get dry throughout the day or oily, or if you have breakouts or your skin is sensitive, you let them know what your needs are and what you're looking for in terms of coverage. So if you want it to be more of like a full coverage, hide all the imperfections, or if you want something more sheer, more natural looking, if you prefer using a liquid or a stick or a powder foundation, go into a store, talk to an artist, and have them help you find the best products for you. While you're in there, I also recommend asking why they're picking those products. So they can help to break it down a little bit so then you know in the future when you're looking for a new foundation, you'll have a better chance at figuring that out on your own if you know what undertones you're looking for or what kind of finish you prefer, whatever it is. So asking some questions while you're in there. Everyone is super friendly, even though there's always a stigma about makeup store employees. So we're nice, I promise. We want to help you. So ask all the questions, get all the information that you can, because that's really going to help for the future. The next thing that I recommend doing is finding great lighting. So whether that is doing your makeup in front of a window where you get natural light, or if you have a makeup light or a mirror that you prefer to use, just make sure that you're not doing your makeup in like a dingy bathroom or bedroom or whatever, because that's really going to make a difference on how your makeup looks. So we've definitely all been there where you do your makeup inside, you feel like it looks great, you go out into the sunlight and catch yourself in that rearview mirror and you're like, that is not how I thought it looked, and it is not a great feeling. But lighting will definitely make a difference in terms of what it looks like for color matches and blending and just your overall application. I definitely recommend finding some great lighting. The third thing that you're going to want to do ahead of time is to have all your tools and everything that you need ready to go. So if you're using brushes, make sure that they're nice and clean. I know that that is nobody's favorite thing to do, washing brushes. We're all guilty of waiting too long, but it really does make a difference in the application of your makeup as well as your skin. If you're using dirty brushes, you're going to have a lot of bacteria and stuff that you're spreading around in your skin. You're probably going to run into some issues. So make sure that you're cleaning your brushes very frequently. Get some extra ones. Like, I don't like doing mine, so I just have backups of the ones that I use the most, because I know that that way I have a better chance of using a clean brush and I don't have to wash them as often. If you're using a beauty sponge, you want to make sure that it's damp. So run it under water, squeeze it out a few times, grab a paper towel and wring it out so then it's all good to go. And then you're going to want to make sure that you prep your skin as well. So it takes a little bit more effort, but it is worth it. Just trust me. Okay, now that we got all those things out of the way, let's actually get started. So the first thing that you're going to do, which is very important, is to prime your skin. So everybody has different preferences. I'm not going to tell you what's right or wrong. Just make sure that you're doing something, whatever works best for you. Something that I usually suggest to my clients is mixing primers based on the need of the area that you're working on. I never thought this was a crazy thing, but every time I suggest it to people, they're like, oh my God, I can do that. And you should, because realistically, a lot of people are going to have different areas of concern on their skin. If you can get away with just using one, that's awesome. Like, definitely go for it. But if you're having issues with certain things happening where like your T-zone is breaking up due to oil and your cheeks are flaking because it's dry, mix and match your primers, find what works best for the areas individually. And overall, it's going to even everything out so that you do get an even playing field to start with, if that makes sense. So here I already have my skincare done. I have on my moisturizers, treatments, things like that, eye cream. So I'm just going to go in with a primer. And I would say to shake up anything that you're using that's a liquid, because it'll settle One more tip for liquid products, I always suggest putting anything that you're going to put on your face in your hand first, and then you can pick up what you need to and apply there. So a lot of the times, especially online, it's this very trendy thing to like squirt it all over your face and whatever, but you end up using more product a lot of the time than you need to, and it's not necessary. A, because it's expensive, and B, because you don't want your makeup to look crazy. So in hand first. So I'm just going to do a little pump here and then rub it all into my face. So after you've primed your skin, next you're going to go in with foundation. So you're going to want to apply with a brush for a more full coverage look, and a damp beauty sponge works great if you want to have more of a softer natural look. But I say if you want the best of both worlds, you apply with a brush first and then go over it with a damp beauty sponge, and that is going to make the best application in my personal opinion. Ones like this are great for foundation because it packs it on, but it doesn't eat up all your product. So again, we're going to put the product in our hand first, and do not mind this little beauty blender foundation bottle that I had to bust open. So put some product in your hand like this, and then we're going to take the brush and just pick up a little bit of product. You don't need a whole lot. We're going to start in the outer edges of your face. And what I find gives the most natural application is if you do like how I'm doing here and just kind of buff it in with little circles. It's going to make sure that you have the least amount of lines. Go back over the areas that need a little bit of extra coverage with a damp beauty sponge and that same foundation. You can see how much is left. Like there's still a good amount there, so you really don't usually need a whole lot. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit on here and then just press it into my skin. Once you have your face on, you're going to want to go through and just gently pull this color down onto your neck so that that's not neglected. Same with your ears, and you can just gently buff into your hairline as well to make sure that you don't have like the harsh foundation cutout line. Next, we're going to go in with concealer. So I'm going to do my under eyes, and that would typically go on after foundation because a lot of the times you'll use a shade or two lighter or more if you want it to be more dramatic. But slightly lighter is going to make more of a brightening effect under your under eyes. So it's going to make you look a little bit more bright-eyed and awake. The only time that I'd recommend doing concealer before foundation is if you're color correcting. So if I was going to, like over here, I have a little spot. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. Over here, if I really wanted to make sure that that redness was gone and I didn't feel like my foundation was going to build up enough, then I would go in with my concealer ahead of time, put it over the areas that need a little bit of extra coverage, and then put my foundation on top because that's going to smooth it all together as opposed to trying to find a concealer to go on top after. So when I'm doing my concealer, I typically start right here and do a little bit there and then a little bit on the outer corner as well. So what you want to do is be working basically your way up and then out and then kind of like go back and forth. So I'm going to go back in with another layer now because I feel like I just need a little bit more right in through here. So we're just going to do the same thing again. Just blend it in little tapping motions all the way up. And then out slightly, back and forth. You kind of bring it down a little bit so it's not just like just a U, because if you do that just in this area, you're going to really accentuate any bags that you have or where the drop off is between your dark lines or between your dark circles and the rest of your face. So this way it kind of camouflages and brings it down past that area and just kind of lifts the whole area instead. Going back and forth a few times is going to really work that product into your skin, and also ensure that if there's any extra product left, that it's going to be picked up on the sponge and not just left on your face. And then I always prefer to kind of go like this as well, up in that under eyebrow area, so that it's not just left out. And then we're going to repeat on the other side. So now before we move on to any other products, we're going to set all the liquids before continuing. For an under eye setting powder, some people can get away with using the same thing that they use on their face. A lot of people have to use something that's more of like a finely milled texture that's not going to settle into fine lines and wrinkles as much. You can take a pressed powder like this with a little brush, pick up some product, and then press that into your under eyes. There's a couple different ways that I prefer to do this. So the first one, and probably the fastest and easiest, and something that I've been doing the most recently, is to take that same damp beauty sponge that is getting a workout today. We're going to take a translucent setting powder, and I just tap it into the cap of the powder, and you're just going to press it right in there, pick up some product like this, and then press it into your skin. The first time one of my coworkers told me about this, I thought she was insane. I was like, why would I take a damp sponge, put it in a dry product, and then press it into my makeup? That didn't make any sense to me. But I tried it and it's been awesome, so I really like it. I'm going to show you the other way that I would prefer to do it, because I find that it gives a lot of extra insurance on problem areas. So for a really long time I struggled with really bad cystic acne, and then in the years after I've dealt with the scarring, hyperpigmentation, all the leftover stuff. So I found that this way of application really helped to conceal that as much as possible. So I would take the same powder in the lid, tap some off like this, and then do that again, and then just tap it into my face. If I had areas where I had a lot of scarring and uneven texture, I would go like this. I would pick up some product on the ends and then press it into those areas in more of like a stippling motion. And I just got powder everywhere. I really found that that made a huge difference in just kind of evening out the texture a lot more for me while I was struggling with that the worst. So just a little way of doing it. Okay, so now that we have our liquids on, we have them set, we're gonna go in and do contouring and bronzing. So you're going to contour the areas that you want to diminish the appearance of, such as like a double chin, your nose, whatever it is. And then bronzing is going to bring warmth to the face and just kind of add a little bit more of a glow to it. So a big fluffy brush is gonna be great for bronzing, especially because it's gonna blend it out very naturally. And then if you're doing more of a contour and you wanna have it more of like a sharper, more defined look, using something smaller is really going to help get in there and sculpt at those features. You can use even like a very tiny little brush if you're doing your nose or something like that, but just to give you like a general idea. And if you're unsure of what exactly to do for your face shape, then I would again recommend just going to a store or working with a makeup artist, or even just looking at similar face shapes to yours online and seeing what their of celebrities and seeing what their makeup artists do for them. So that'll help to give you some insight on what's best for you and your personal face and features and what you're trying to do with them. I'm just going to use a powder bronzer and this big fluffy brush here just because that's what I prefer to do. I don't really care to do a lot of contouring, and I'm not a big cream contour or bronzing person, but that is another option as well. And so what I'm going to do is do this so you can see it. Just gonna tap it in like that, dust it off really well, and then starting in through here, I'm just gonna lightly blend that out towards my hairline and away from the center of my face. So when you're bronzing or contouring, you typically don't want to go past the middle of your face because that's really going to close you in a lot. So this is going to add some definition in through here, but you typically want to kind of keep it more on the outside of your face because the inside will be more of where you want to bring light to. So I kind of do more of like a bronzing slash contouring, like contouring with bronzer, I guess. Just kind of get it done really quick, adding some warmth to the face so that I don't feel too flat, and just do like a light contouring technique with a bronzer. There's an option to bake now too if you would like to kind of make that more of a defined look from what you've just bronzed and contoured. You can take the same setup here and then just kind of stamp along here. Like right in the area that you just bronze, like right underneath it, because that is going to just kind of sharpen that line slightly. But as you can see, it's still pretty like soft and natural. Like it's not going to be like a whoo, but it's just going to add a little bit more definition. And you can do much more intense than that, obviously, but just to kind of give you an idea of what that would be like. And I just leave it on for a minute or two while I put on my blush. So I'm going to take this right here on a brush like this, which is nice and soft and fluffy, but it's also angled. So it's going to give a really good definition to that area of your face, but still blend it out really nice and natural. I'm just going to take it like this, tap it in there a few times, dust it off really good to make sure that you're not getting too much. I'm going to start pretty close to where I put my bronzer. Work it up and away from the face and then bring it back down. And that's just what I prefer to do, but depending on your face shape, you might prefer to do something totally different. Once your blush is on, if you feel like that's enough time for your light baking, you're just going to take that powder brush and just sweep it away and just kind of buff out any extra product. The next step that we're going to do is a highlight. So I'm going to show you with a powder highlight, and you can use cream or whatever you prefer. If you're doing it with a powder, then I recommend using a fluffy brush because that's, again, going to just help to disperse the product really well and just kind of make it soft and not too concentrated for a bigger area like on your face. If you're doing more of like an inner corner highlight or something like that, then you would use a smaller brush. But for highlighting the face, I'm going to go in with one like this that is just nice and soft and fluffy, has some longer bristles on it, and just pick up some product there, tap it off per usual, and then just apply right along where you want it to be. If you're doing a liquid highlight, then I would recommend using, you guessed it, a damp beauty sponge or your fingertips, because those are going to be the best techniques for that kind of product. So typical areas that people will highlight is obviously top of cheekbones. You can do your nose, you can do your cupid's bow right here, under eyebrows, you could do inner corner of your eyes, you can do like your décolleté, whatever you prefer to do, as much or as little as you want. You go for it. And then last but not least, you'll want to finish with a setting spray. They make so many different types now. So some of the more popular ones are going to be like a matte finish. You can do a dewy finish. So whatever look you're going for, you'll be able to find something that works well for you. And the reason that you want to use a setting spray is, of course, you know, not only to lock in your makeup, that's the goal, right? Like we never want it to be moving around or whatever, we want it to wear well. But more than anything, what I have found that makes the biggest difference for me is what my makeup looks like, and like in terms of how natural it is. Because if I use a setting spray, it's really going to get in there and just kind of melt all the products that I just put on my face together, and it's going to make a huge difference what it looks like as it wears. It's going to look so much more natural. I've said natural like 7,000 times, but that's what it does. It just makes it melt together and look much more natural and just kind of like the glue that holds everything together. So just as important as starting your makeup application with good skincare and priming it and getting that ready in that sense to put on the products, you want to finish it on the other hand with just sealing everything all up together, just making sure that you have everything wearing the best. And just like with primers, you can definitely mix and match setting sprays as well. So something that I'll prefer to do a lot of the time is start with a more natural finish one. this one's like almost gone, but I'm gonna show you anyway. So before you use the setting spray, always do a test spray first, because the last thing that you want to do is get ready to be done with your face. You spray it and it's like shoots straight out at you and looks crazy and ruins your makeup. You want to make sure that you do test spray first. See, did you see that? Because the first one was not good. There we go. Now we're looking like a nice fine mist. So go ahead, spray all over. I like to fan it out. And if I wanted it to be more of a natural finish and I wasn't really planning on wearing this face for the whole day, then I might just be good with that. If I really want to seal it in there, I will use something that has a lot more staying power. See, again, it was the first spray was bad. And then spray that on top, and then the two together is really going to melt your makeup all together, super natural and beautiful. And then the next one is going to really like super lock that in, so that is not going anywhere. But especially if it's like summer, or if I have an event where I'm going to be gone all day, I'm not going to be able to touch up my face, or whatever the case may be, then that's my favorite tip, is to just use two different ones to just really get the best of both worlds and make sure that it is not moving. So my phone died literally in the middle of me filming the ending of that. So while I was waiting for it to turn back on, I just finished the rest of my makeup. But basically, I just wanted to wrap it up and just say thank you guys so much for watching. And if you have any questions about things that I did, or if you try anything that I was talking about in my video, please let me know, because I love hearing from you guys. So if you have any suggestions for future videos, then I'm always open to those as well. I'll see you soon.